Hello. This is my opinion on why I think cannabis should be legal. This isn't a film review. I just want to make this video because Germany are just about to legalize cannabis. They're just about to legalize marijuana. I know California, which has 40 million people, Canada has 35 million people. They've already legalized cannabis. It's legal in a fair few different places throughout America. It's not fully legal all across America, even though medical marijuana is almost legal in every state. But there's a few states that haven't quite legalized it yet. In the UK, it is legal for medical reasons, but I think cannabis should be legal for recreational uses. I'm going to start by simply saying I don't smoke cannabis. I've never once tried it. I don't like the smell of it. It's just not something that appeals to me personally, but I've known a few people personally who have smoked it. Some have, I even go as far as say some have smoked it a little bit too much, but I've seen other people who just smoke it from time to time, and that's their choice. That's one of the reasons why I want to talk about. One of the main reasons why I think cannabis should be legal is that there's a personal freedom aspect to it. If somebody wants to go and drink vodka, whiskey, somebody wants to go and have a beer or drink wine, they should have the freedom to do that. They should have the freedom to go and engage in that activity if they so desire. Same with tobacco. I'm not a fan, personally speaking, I'm not a fan of cigarettes. I don't like people who smoke fags. I don't like the fact that some people smoke fags. I know a few people who do smoke, and I just don't like the smell of it. It can be a bit stuffy at times, and it can just annoy me. Get along fine with the people, but I would say I'm not a fan of smoking cigarettes. It's just not something I'm a fan of personally. I want to mention the fact that I already know a few people who smoke cannabis, and it's meant to be illegal to smoke it recreationally, but there are still people who do that. I want to talk about the fact that just because something becomes illegal, it doesn't suddenly just disappear. And if you want an example of that, all you need to do is research prohibition in America. I don't think that outlawing this substance has gotten rid of it, and I think at a certain point you do have to just come face to face with reality and accept the fact that it's not going to disappear, it's not going to go away. And I think what the Netherlands have done, what Canada, California, like I've already mentioned, and a few other places have already done, is to make it legal so that you've at least got one hand on the steering wheel. Obviously, there will still be incidences, there will still be times when people who are not meant to have it, like people underage, will get their hands on it, and that's terrible. But at least if you've got one hand on the steering wheel, that at least gives you you've got better control over your situation compared to at this moment in time when it's legal in the UK for medical reasons, but it should be legal for recreational reasons, so that you've just got a much better grip of the situation. It's under control more, if you know what I'm trying to say. I want to mention the fact that adults paying for cannabis could provide new jobs for people and also brings tax revenue. I know California, Nevada, I think it's Nevada. I'm pretty sure it was the first American state, or was it Oregon? Colorado, I think that was the first American state to legalize cannabis, and they've seen there have been economic benefits. There have been jobs created. There's been extra tax revenue. Unemployment goes down. There's a few different positives economically speaking. There's the fact that once you have it regulated, instead of it being unregulated, you're then able to control exactly what goes into the cannabis, instead of it being made by a untrustworthy, unreliable, somewhat dubious guy who you don't really trust that much. It's better if it's in a shop. If it's in a shop like Apple, like for example, when California legalized cannabis, I can remember watching a video of customers going into a shop, and I could just see an obvious comparison. I personally saw an obvious comparison between the way in which they were displaying the cannabis, the different types of cannabis, and how similar it looked to an Apple store. And the reason why I think that's more appealing to customers and for people in general is that means they know exactly what's in it. And there's regulations that ensure that this product A has this in it, product B has this in it, and product C, D, E, and F have got this in it, and here's the differences, and here's how we regulate it. And if they lie to you, then you can actually take them. There's legal repercussions for what they do. There can be legal ramifications, so it incentivizes them to act better and to keep their word, because they don't want to get into trouble with being disingenuous. If you buy product A from me, I'll sell you product A. It keeps it nice and regulated and the way you'd want it to be. I'd say personally. It also destroys black market power. Al Capone only became powerful during the Prohibition era because alcohol was illegal. That's how he made a significant amount of his money. That's how he made a significant amount of. That's how a lot of his. That's where a lot of his power came from. And once alcohol became legal, after it was legalized again in the early 1930s in America, that in turn took away a fair chunk of his power. And imagine the drug cartels who are. I can remember reading a story quite a few years back, about how the drug cartels in Mexico who were bringing cannabis over the border into America weren't happy with the fact that it was becoming legal, because then they don't have a monopoly on the market. Once you can just go to a normal shop like you would for groceries, what do you need them for? And then if they don't make money, then they're not able to continue their operations in the other areas where, like, for example, human trafficking. If they're not able to then pay third parties for all that nonsense, then that takes away some of their power, and they're not going to be happy about that. So they obviously don't. The black market power is diminished when it becomes legal, and I think that's a positive. It makes it so that you can also see who is smoking cannabis, who is smoking a joint, and it also makes it so that you can then, perhaps, for example, if you were to have like a membership program for different people who go and buy cannabis, if you then find out that teenagers are smoking, and then it somehow gets found out that Robert, for example, Robert was the one who supplied them with it, then you could maybe have like a membership, like points program, for example, where that person is then not able to buy cannabis from another store. If in like a digital setting, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, there could be a punishment if it's a membership program, like what we do currently with driver's licenses, with someone having a driving license. If you find out that person's been speeding, they can't just go to another place and just get a license, then get back on the road. It's a national run in the UK. It's a national run database, and if my memory serves me correctly, I don't drive personally, but it's 12 points. If you get 12 points, then that's you done. You get your license taken away, and then I think you need to wait. I think you need to wait either 8 or 10 years before you can at least reapply, and then it's not always a guarantee that you'll get it, depending on the severity of your crimes. That could incentivize people to not give it to teenagers. And once again, it's like, once you've got it legalized and you know who's buying it, you've got at least one hand on the steering wheel. You've got a much better grip of the situation. You've got better control over what's happening. And I also think that with cannabis being legalized, I've heard some stories out of America where people have legalized it, but then they've changed their mind. And I think this would maybe satisfy both parties. It should be illegal, but you shouldn't just be able to go and smoke cannabis anywhere and everywhere. You shouldn't be able to smoke cannabis, I'd say, in areas that are too overcrowded, because there could be people with children. You shouldn't be able to smoke weed near a school playground when children are out and about, and maybe you shouldn't be able to smoke it during certain times of the day. And maybe if you were to smoke it during certain times of the day, there should be buildings for people to smoke cannabis, like there are for pubs. In the UK, in Scotland, we can't sell alcohol after 10 p.m. and we can't sell alcohol before 10 a.m. in supermarkets, but supermarkets do open before that and they close after that. So there's laws that try and at least curtail some of the bad behaviour. And I think that's the direction we should go in. We should have cannabis areas where you can smoke it, and buildings where you can also, maybe if you have like cannabis cookies or whatever, that should be legal for people who are above a certain age, whether it's 18 or 21, that's a separate conversation. But there should be areas for people to do that, in my opinion. I think cannabis being illegal hasn't made it go away, and I think if it was legal, we would have much better control over the situation. Thanks for watching.